started school, and then she relapsed again, April 16, and we were told then there was nothing they could do. That's when I had a phone call off Rachel. And the support of the charity and Rachel herself is amazing.
You could look at things differently, couldn't you? It was nice to know. Some things came easier with the terminal diagnosis because you knew where you was going, you knew where you was heading. There was a pathway in front of you, wasn't there? There wasn't any more uncertainty. There wasn't any more what ifs. There wasn't any more tests that were going to give us any news that we didn't expect. And then speaking to somebody that had been through it.
To Freya, that's her life for the last 3.5 years. Was hospital visits, was losing her hair, having it grow back, losing her hair, having NG tubes, having cannulas fitted, having community nurse visits. That was Freya's life. She didn't know that you get up and you go to school, you come home with a book, you read, you do that. Actually, everything she did she was protected from the outside world. You know, the dirt and the running around outside, you're always on edge. Make sure you wash your hands, make sure you put your hand gel on, make sure there's no bacteria being picked up, and you know, everything that you did, especially coming out of transplant, because it's exceptionally clean. You have to be clinical.
Well, there's a lot of new things come into your world that you've never had to think about before. Obviously having chemotherapy, but avoiding infections, all the issues surrounding the central line and so on, keeping that clean, and going into hospital to spend sometimes up to 6 days at a time with Olly, you know, and so just supporting him through all that, and it puts you in a completely different situation, a completely different world to where you were before.
Do you remember when we decorated your room, Olly? Do you remember coming back? What did you think when you walked up the stairs and you didn't know what was going on? Do you remember?
You were very excited, weren't you?
Oh my goodness! That's amazing, isn't it? What do you think?
What's your room like now?
Is it different? Isn't it wonderful?
And they surprised you with your NASA spacesuit and your helmet. You were very surprised, weren't you?
Yeah.
Wasn't it a lovely surprise? Very uplifting, I would say. You know, when you have a lot of dark days through this journey, I think that was just something that really did lift our spirits.
Cheer everyone
up,
up,
it was
didn't it?
not just for Olly, but for us to sort of see that somebody was doing something so wonderful for us, and people have been so amazingly kind, haven't they? And that just really does help to lift you, really, on at times like this.
We first came into contact with Molly Ollies before Olly, due to have his central line, and we heard about him at the Birmingham Children's Hospital, and the people there were kind enough to give Olly an Olly the Brave Lion and a book that explains the story of Olly the Brave and how Olly the Brave has to go to hospital to have his central line. That's so he can have his medicine through his central line. And I think this helped Olly to understand what would be happening to him.
So when you woke up from your operation, you had wigglers, didn't you? Just like Olly the Brave. You understood what it was for, didn't you? It's very good, isn't it?
But he doesn't actually have a lump treatment. He actually has a sprained ankle treatment.
Yes, he's got a bandage
That's
on
a
there.
bandage on his ankle that you put on there, didn't you? But
When she had Olly the Brave and she'd sat in hospital and Olly the Brave would sit with her, and then there was the little boy opposite and he hadn't engaged with the other children at all, and he hadn't had an Olly the Brave at this point. So Freya took Olly the Brave, because Freya was like a little mom to all of them, wasn't she? And she went over and she showed this little boy the Olly the Brave, and she took his mane off and showed him the Wigglies, and he laughed. And they sat and they read a book together with Olly the Brave, and Mom after then messaged me saying, thank you. You then allowed this little boy to learn how to play again, because he'd got engagement and Freya had engaged him into play through Olly the Brave, through a mutual toy, Teddy, that they could both relate to and laugh. He'd already lost his hair. Freya had lost hers, and then we'd got Olly the Brave. So he'd lost his as well. And she showed him.
I think just the concept of Olly the Brave, the lion, is a really good idea, you know, just a really simple way to get over to the children.
in a non-medical way.
Yeah, in a
as
non-medical
well.
way, yeah, and a non-threatening and a comforting way, really, about how they're going to have a central line, how they're going to receive their chemo, and I think really it's, you know, a work of genius, really, to do it, and you know, the charity deserves all the support that it can be given.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And my favourite thing about horse riding is trotting and cantering. So the instructions I get, I have to go up, down, up, down, all the way through canter. I'm in trot, sorry, yeah, trot.
So Jack has a tumour in his thalamus, in his brain, that was discovered actually by accident a couple of years ago when he was having an MRI for a different reason. And we've been undergoing investigation and watching that over the last couple of years. That affects us. I mean, obviously Jack's kind of the centre of the family because of that. So, you know, we try and make sure that we revolve around him and make sure that, you know, if Jack's happy and focused and engaged, then we are too, really. So obviously he has to attend a lot of hospital appointments. He has a lot of ongoing investigations and tests related to all of those conditions, which are quite time consuming and take him out of school and the normality of being a 10-year-old. So activities like this, which bring us together as a family and allow us to do something that's fun, is incredibly valuable. And Molly Olly has been so generous, and we're extraordinarily grateful to everybody who's raised for the charity and allowed Jack to have this opportunity. It's been really special that in the midst of all that you've got something to look forward to on a Saturday afternoon, and we've all learnt to ride, which is great.
With the help of all our donors, fundraisers and sponsors, Molly Ollys have made a very real and genuine difference to the children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Over the past year, we have granted over 250 wishes, supplied Olly the Brave packs to over 40 hospitals across the UK, and we have furnished a unique safe space, Magnolia House, at Birmingham Children's Hospital, which officially opened in February. I am Maeve, Molly's sister. If Molly were here today, she would thank you, and she would have been very proud with what we've all achieved together.